Headlines read, 1,200 missing and murdered Indigenous women in Canada. But these articles do not tell the story of these women's lives before they went missing or were murdered. Each and every one of these women has a story. They are more than a statistic. I'm going to tell you the story of Helen Betty Osborne. Helen Betty Osborne was born on July 16, 1952, in Norway House, Manitoba, to her Cree parents Joe and Justine Osborne. From a young age, she knew that she wanted to be a teacher, but to achieve this goal, she would have to move 208 kilometers away to La Pas, Manitoba, to attend high school and pursue her dream. Though a tough decision, in the summer of 1969, at the age of 17, she decided to make the move. While away at school, she made many friends and fell in love with Indigenous student Cornelius Biggity, who became her boyfriend. However, while out one night with friends, she saw Cornelius with another girl by the name of Lillian Michelle. This broke her heart as that girl was also his girlfriend. She told her friends that she needed some time alone to think and that she was going to walk home. She never made it. Early in the morning of November 13th, 1971, four young Caucasian men, who in their own words were out looking for an Indian girl with whom to drink and have sex, abducted Helen Betty Osborne, driving her out to an abandoned pump house where she was stripped of her clothing, sexually assaulted, beaten, and stabbed over 50 times with a screwdriver. A fisherman and his son found her body the next morning. Everyone in La Pas knew who murdered Helen Betty Osborne, and yet they went silent for 16 years to protect the four men responsible. It was not until December 1987 that one of the four men was convicted and sentenced to life in prison. He only served 10 years of this term. The other three men were never charged. There is more than enough written on these four men. There is not nearly enough written about her. Now that you know her story, let me tell you about my research. Canadian historians have spent little time considering the history of Indigenous women in Canada. They have spent even less time reflecting on violence and the role of colonialism in that ongoing violence. And there has been almost no attention given to trying to understand this history from an Indigenous perspective. I use both Indigenous and Western sources, such as census material, newspapers, court documents, stories, poems, and plays, to tell the story of Helen Betty Osborne's life, why she became a victim, why there was 16 years of silence in her case, and what her experiences can tell us about the history of Indigenous women in 20th century Canada. In 2014, there were 111 missing and murdered Indigenous women recorded in Manitoba alone. 83 of these women were murdered in the past 50 years. 1/3 of the cases remain unsolved. The increasingly high number of missing and murdered Indigenous women, along with the historical precedent of Helen Betty Osborne and the silence of her story in Canadian history, shows the necessity of this project, as the violence and silence is not just situational or historical, but ongoing. Thank you.